Namaste to all the students. I, JVN Dr. Ekta, Assistant Professor of English in Faculty of Education and Methodology. I welcome you in the lecture of English Literature. Our today's topic is personification. Uh, what is personification? Where a non-living object, an animal, or an abstract idea is given human qualities. That is personification. The sentence involves a human action. The poet writes about the object as if it is a person, like that the flowers are dancing. The flower dance. Who dance? Human being dance. But it is written for flower. The flowers are dancing. Like wind yells while blowing. Wind yells while blowing is an example of personification because wind cannot yell. Only a living thing can yell. Personification is an important literary device as a form of metaphor. Personification compares two things quickly and efficiently, often in a poetic fashion. Personification is pretty simple, but before we can get into it, we need to know the metaphor. So, for metaphor, you can go for watch the previous lecture that is about metaphor. The personification is a form of metaphor, a literary device comparing two things by applying the qualities of one thing to another. One famous example is the Walt Whitman's line, as your very flesh shall be great poem. Whitman isn't suggesting that your flesh is literally a poem. That would be both impossible and uncomfortable, but rather that your entire self is a work of art. Within the context of the leaves of grass, preface where this quote comes from, the quote means that through love and patience and living and meaning and purpose, your entire self will have meaning and purpose. Though Whitman's quote is a metaphor, it's not personification. Personification is a more specific type of metaphor in which something that is not human is given human traits. Now, Whitman's quote compares flesh, something human, to a poem, something inhuman, meaning it's not personification. Now, conspiring with him how to load and bless with fruit the vines that round the thatched eaves run. Here the thing doing the conspiring is autumn and him is the maturing sun. Neither of these things can conspire. Autumn is a season and the sun is a star. But for the purpose of illustrating how perfect the season is, Keats suggests that they can. That does not mean that Keats wants you to picture the sun and autumn literally whispering in one another's ears. He is suggesting harmony and a natural order of things. If we come to example like necklace is a friend. Necklace is a friend is an example of personification because as we know that necklace is a thing and how can it be a friend? Only living things can be a friend. But we can say the necklace is very, the one likes the necklace, and it remains close to the person. That's why he's saying necklace is a friend. But it is a human trait. Friend. Only human can be a friend. Personification can make things easier to imagine when you read them. Okay, for example, you can't see the wind, but if someone wrote the wind ragged with fierce anger, you might get a better impression of how the wind blew that day. Okay, the stars winked in the night sky. Stars having no eyes cannot wink, but when you see this phrase, you know that they are twinkling. The bridge stretched over the interstate. The bridge can't stretch, but from this phrase we get the mental image of it being long and gracefully curved. The cave mouth yawned. The mouth can yawn, but a cave mouth cannot. Still, we get the mental image of cave mouth stretched wide. The smell of baking muffins welcomed us inside. This a smell can't welcome, but we can still understand that the narrator of this sentence feels welcomed by the homey smell. Is personification used in other mediums apart from poetry? Personification is used in many forms of literature. It is used in music, in art, in drama, in advertising, and it can be used in novels, stories, fairy tales, television shows, sculptures, films, theaters, fairy tales, short stories, poetries. Okay, what is the origin of personification? Personification is strongly associated with art and storytelling where it has ancient roots. Most cultures possesses a long-standing storytelling tradition with personified animals and characters. For example, in the children's story Alice in Wonderful, there are several anthropomorphic characters including the white rabbit or the Cheshire cat. Artists have always thought there was something important about the connection between people and object. For example, in the drawing to the right, the artist has personified the babes through the image of a woman. Okay. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves and immortality. This is written by Emily Dickinson in her poem Because I Could Not Stop for Death. In this poem, death is personified as a person driving a carriage. Within the confines of his poem, death may be in fact be a person, but Dickinson isn't writing about a literal event that happened to her. She is using the relationship with death figuratively, illustrating how death goes about its business with little regard for humanity's work and leisure. Okay, then here is the next example. You try to scream, but terror takes the sound before you make it. You start to freeze as horror looks you right between the eyes. You are paralyzed. Cause this is thriller night, and no one's gonna save you from the beast about to strike. This is written by Michael Jackson in Thriller. There are very few examples of personification in this song, terror takes the sound and horror looks you right between the eyes. Logically, we know that emotions can't take out or look at anything. Okay, but using the kind of language to describe fear gives it an agency that infuses this song with energy. If you have ever been afraid, you know how it was affect. It can affect the way your body feels, sometimes paralyzing you. That's what Jackson is tapping into in this song. The sense that fear can trap you and make you feel like you are out of control. Okay. Thank you for watching.